Thank you all for staying. First thing, thanks for the incredible concert. We really enjoyed it. We only have a little bit of time, so I thought I'd just ask a few kind of quick questions that are not probably going to have super quick answers. But I think one of the things that I was thinking about listening to this program were some of the unsung heroes of the day, and one of those is Jacob Garchick, the arranger of many of these works that you do. And then Paul also had a work that he did, and so I'm wondering if you could just say a little bit about how you go about choosing how to realize some of these works that have not really been originally intended for string quartet, and kind of bring them to life that way. Are they all done independently and then you get them, or do you work on them collectively, or how does that work?
Well, over the years we've had many different, I almost call them interpreters. And so Jacob interpreted, for example, with Strange Fruit, there were two recordings that to me just spoke to me so beautifully. And they're very different. So I just proposed the idea, Jacob, could you imagine finding a way to make these two interpretations into one? And he just jumped at the opportunity. Now, in the case of Kiss Your Ass Goodbye, maybe you should talk about it, Paul, because we were up against a deadline, and we were in an airport, I think. We were somewhere, and I was thinking, uh-oh, the clock is ticking, and we need, and there was Paul. And Paul's a really good composer, and he loves Terry, and so anyway, from there.
Well, the closer we get to a deadline, the nicer David is to me. He's like, hey, can I buy you a coffee? And I said, what do you want? No, it's a dream to assist Terry Riley in creating a new piece. Come on, any composer would just give their left arm. But it's really fascinating. Terry is currently living in Japan, and at the time of writing this, his hands weren't functioning so well. So what he sort of submitted as the composition was with the use of an iPad app called Thumb Jam, and he kind of created a layered composition on this iPad app and sent us that. It was a really strange, mysterious, incredible kind of electronic sounds. So I had the pleasure of kind of translating that into a playable piece for Kronos. And that's, a lot of Kronos collaborations happen that way, where it's not just us and the composer and the commissioner. There's often several third parties to help. So in effect, every piece kind of has a community attached to it, and that's a really beautiful kind of Kronos-specific thing, I think.
For us, it's almost kind of like a double excitement when we get into the rehearsals, because we know Paul is there, who knows the piece backwards and forwards, and we want to do well and have Paul be excited about how we're playing it, but then we also have Terry too, so it's like a double whammy there. We want to make sure that everybody who's been working on this likes what we're doing.
And when I give the other guys the score, that's when I start having to be really nice to them.
Well, and I should add, when we get out on stage, we don't have to be nice to each other anymore. It's like, I don't know if you noticed all the stuff I was adding tonight, but it's...
Well, thank you for that. That's good. I can imagine that's a way to keep you on your toes. And one of the other things I'm just thinking about quickly is that, in addition to all these wonderful adaptations or interpretations, as you say, you also are so actively commissioning new works all the time and creating, I think you have a really beautiful model of kind of creating a repertoire that people can access. And in fact, they can access the 50th anniversary series of commissions. And I'm wondering if you could just say a little bit about that and just about that program and how you kind of see the canon evolving or the repertoire evolving.
Are you speaking of the 50 for the future?
50 for 50, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the way it started was we began to realize that if you take bowed string players worldwide, and you take the teachers and the professors and the, authorities, they generally don't like their students to play recent music, And what we found over many years is there's all kinds of ways to kind of keep young people from learning new things about the most recent music. And one of them is to say, well, you're going to be a much better player if you learn how to play this or that Mozart or this or that Beethoven or whatever. And what we've realized is to play a good note, no matter who wrote it, is equally difficult. But I'm getting off the topic. What we decided to do to subvert the subversion that we were encountering was to see if we could make a repertoire that was freely accessible and fun, and kind of told a story about being alive now and being creative, and brought in some of the issues, technical issues and spiritual, cultural issues. And recently we've had experiences where all 50 of the pieces have been played by quartets, like for example in Amsterdam and in Paris. It was just thrilling to have 7 or 8 other quartets play our music, and we get to be there. And Charlton was there in Amsterdam, and you should have heard the way Charlton represented our country and our culture in Amsterdam. It was so, I'll never forget that, Charlton. I thought it was so beautiful, and I don't know if you were thinking about that, but you just did it, and it was so wonderful, and the group that played it so great, and to hear our music being taken up by other people gives us more energy. It's like, watch out, world,
Right.
Also, what we've been finding too, because we've been coaching a lot of these pieces at different universities and sometimes high schools, sometimes grade schools, and it's been a real eye-opener, because what I found is that these string players, these younger string players, they're fearless, a lot of them. Let me tell you, I mean, it's like a lot of these young groups, they just devour these rhythms like you wouldn't believe. I mean, when I was that age, I would have real difficulty not only staying together with the group, but playing my part. And I've been finding that they just do it with a certain kind of an ease that's astonishing at that age. So it's been an eye-opener for us, too.
I wanted to say that I think the 50 for the Future project that we had is one of it's one of my favorite things we've ever done. And it's been so successful artistically, as you just pointed out, by these wonderful groups that have played the music. And also financially it's been great. But it's also our legacy, because it's out there in the world. It's also, music is expensive. To buy music from a publisher, you have to do that in order to play it. And then when you perform it, you have to pay a royalty. Well, we've negated all that. we have a deal with a composer. So you can down all this music for free, and you can play it. And that is really exciting for young groups all over the world. And as I wanted to expound on what John said, I've heard many groups play this music, and it's changed. We play it a certain way, and that isn't the only way to play it. Music is fluid. It moves, and it has a new life when other people play it. And it's so exciting to see that go in a different direction.
Well, this is wonderful because you mentioned the word legacy, and of course that the one that we hear is a super important one, but at the library we also enjoy the ones that we can see and preserve. And we're so excited to have your archive coming to us. And I'm wondering if you could just, maybe as a last thought for the evening, say a bit about what the experience has been coming to the library, seeing, we showed you some of our treasures this morning, including George Crumb's Black Angels and other works like that. Knowing that your materials will be here and preserved, and so that people can access this as well for free. We are free at the library. Please come. If you could just tell us your thoughts about it.
Well, it's a big deal for us. And I mean, what I want to do is keep adding to the archive. So you're going to have to bring a truck out to San Francisco. So what you're getting is up until a certain point, right? Just alerting everybody here that it's not done. We're just getting started, okay?
I really enjoyed our visit this morning because the librarians had this music out, and we could look at it and actually touch it. They said, well, should I use gloves? And they said, oh no, gloves are actually harmful to the manuscript. It's better to actually use your fingers. And there was Black Angels that was laid out, and all the notes when he was composing it, drafts from it, and he was editing it. He wrote bad, redraft. And then he said something like, too clever, and crossed it out. It was wonderful to see a mind work like that. I mean, the music is incredible. We know it so well, and to actually see the composer, what he went through to get to the end was really fascinating.
Can I ask you a question about that? Because I was talking to Paul about this before the show. There's a certain point after which people stopped sending letters, and they send emails. And what are you going to do?
I defer to my colleagues. There definitely, we have strategies to try to preserve those types of things, and they certainly have ways that they do it, but it also depends on the person, because these things are often treated as ephemera and are not necessarily saved, but different archives certainly have standards for preserving that kind of digital material, but there's also questions about how do you access them, at what point are privacy issues no longer an issue, or those types of things come into play as well.
I mean, I was kind of blown away to see this letter from 2009 that I wrote to George Crumb for his 80th birthday. I forgot I did that, and there it was. And, the spelling was okay, and, and I wished him a happy year of the ox, and, all that kind of stuff. But, I wrote a lot of letters to him after that by email that are even better letters.
We will have to do a search for those, and we'll let you know our assessment as well. Well, listen, it's been a wonderful evening, and I feel like we could really talk about a lot of things for a long time, but you've just given us a wonderful concert, and I just want to thank you so much on behalf of the library for coming, and it's really a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.